I investigated and did a bit of research and came across insects as an alternative source of protein.
We were quite astonished with the result we got in the field.
The Kenya Bureau of Standards now has approved protocols for production and processing.
We collect around 10 tons per week of bio-waste, which would otherwise end up in landfills. We are converting that into a valuable commodity, which is protein.
The global population is estimated to increase to 9 billion by 2050. To feed this population, agricultural production must increase by 60 to 70%. Currently, about 80% of farmlands are used for feeding and raising livestock, and a large proportion of arable land used for crops going towards animal feeds. The increase in demand for livestock and fish feed that is rich in protein is causing noticeable environmental impact such as deforestation, reduction of fish stocks, and greenhouse gas emission increase. Maintaining the status quo is not sustainable. There is need to find a solution that will take care of the rising food insecurity as well as the environment.
So ECP General has been pioneering research in the continent, where we are looking at using insects to recycle waste, using a circular economic approach as a way of creating value or transformative products, such as insect protein, which is used in animal feed, oils that can also be used as additive in animal feeds or in cosmetics, or could also be used as feedstock for biodiesel. And then also could be used as additive in cosmetic or soap production. Then we also have the component of frass fertilizer that you get from the insect production cycle that can be used in improving soil health, as well as improving crop production, as well as crop nutrition.
When you're producing poultry or you're producing fish, the most expensive component is the cost of feed. And when you look at the cost of feed, what is the most expensive component? It also ends up being the protein, because each and every commercial bag will at least make sure you must have protein. And so we knew very well that other countries, for example, South Africa, in the Netherlands, they have done a lot of work in using alternative protein from the insects, the IBF, the insect-based feed, or the black soldier fly. And so we just decided to, partner with the ICIPE, the International Center for Insect Physiology and Ecology, because this is the world class known for their work in insects, and they had done a lot of work in the lab. They had studied the black soldier fly in detail. They knew that if you feed the black soldier fly to the chicken, they lay eggs for a longer time. The egg is more yellow. They had done a lot of research on the impact on pigs. They grow at least 2 months faster. And then we also see that the black soldier fly also comes with its own advantage. It is very high in the protein content. So given that, we help then as grant makers, we develop, we use grant funding to develop the sector. And so we partnered with ICIPE to take the technologies from the lab to the land.
There are over 1,900 edible insects in Africa, mainly beetles, caterpillars, grasshoppers, wasps, and ants. With their short lifespan and the quick reproduction, with most insects taking 3 weeks to complete their life cycle, insects are an alternative to animal feeds. Tucked in Karen, Nairobi County is a small farm where Christian Larson has set up a production unit in order to offer this much-needed solution to farmers.
I studied aquaculture and agribusiness in university. I continued to work in the field in Australia for some time and decided to come back to Kenya and set up an aquaculture farm. I realized that the locally produced fish made it impossible to compete against the Chinese imported fish. And upon doing some research, I realized that the cost of feed input was the reason for that. So I investigated and did a bit of research and came across insects as an alternative source of protein for the animal feed sector. So we started this insect farm roughly 1.5 years ago, and have built it very organically since then. And our main customers are animal feed processors or directly to the fish and chicken farmers. Initially looking at farming omena, which I thought would be quite a good idea since that's the main ingredient for fish meal.
Fish, yes.
And I realized it wasn't possible because omena is a pelagic species, meaning it roams for breeding and feeding.
Yes.
So I started researching a bit more, and I came across SIPE, who were doing training for insect production for the same reason, for feed inputs. So I decided to undertake some training at the SIPE to learn how to grow the insect. It was 2 weeks long. I then went to the Netherlands, took another 2-week course into researching and developing my skills in insect production, because they've got very advanced insect farms over there.
Yeah.
I then came back and decided to experiment, set up my small farm with 1 net and 1 basin. And since then we've grown organically to the stage that we're in. We're producing roughly between half a ton to 1.5 tons per month.
Black soldier flies, or Ametia illucens, its scientific name, is the commonly used insect. It is a tropical fly found in warmer regions worldwide, but considered to be native of South America. The black soldier fly contains up to 50% crude protein, up to 35% lipids, and contains amino acids profile similar to the fish meal. The black soldier fly is useful for protein meal, biofertilizers, or popularly known as frass, whole dried larvae, larvae oil, and chitin or chitosan or waste compositing.
So what we do is we've got another greenhouse where we collect the eggs of the black soldier fly. We harvest them and we incubate them in some of these trays. So here are some of the black soldier fly eggs which have hatched.
They've hatched here.
And these are called neonates. So they're very small at the moment, but as we feed them over the next 2 weeks, they'll fatten up. The conversion ratio depends on the substrate, but it is anywhere between 4:1 and 2:1, meaning that it's got 25% efficiency or 50% efficiency, depending on the substrate, the climate, climatic conditions, etc. So these are feeding on the substrate.
So what makes this substrate?
So this substrate is bio-waste, which we've collected from feed processors and landfills around Nairobi.
I can see avocado peel.
There's avocado peels, there's potato waste. This waste would otherwise end up in landfills around Nairobi, emitting greenhouse gases, and it's actually a very valuable commodity if you know how to use it. So we're taking this insect, which is breaking down the waste and using a process called bioconversion to convert the waste into its own protein, lipids, and amino acids, and creating a byproduct, which is a very nutrient-rich fertilizer.
So then this is still in that hatching stage.
So these are all the neonates. These are all the early staged larvae, so to speak. And then as the process goes on, you can see we've got our harvest dates and our hatch dates.
So hatch is 14th October.
14th of October.
And then you'll be collecting on 10th?
So this is the date we collected the eggs, the 10th of October.
And then
they hatched 4 days later because the weather was quite cold.
Cool.
And then after 2 weeks, then we'll harvest.
So you mentioned the weather was that cold. What is this weather condition that goes into now ensuring that they
So the
hatch?
optimum conditions for black soldier fly growth and hatch rate is between 28 degrees and 30 degrees Celsius. Recently we've had some cold weather spouts, so the feed conversion ratio and the development is a bit slower here. They also require a humidity of between 55 and 70%. So you can see the variations are quite high, and when it's colder weather with lower humidity, the number one, the reproduction from the love cages is low, and number two, the growth rates from the larvae is slow.
It will be slow. I'm seeing you with some wooden plaques there. Has they got anything to do with that?
So if you come to have a look here, these wooden, what we call eggies, are placed in the cages where the flies are
and
collects the eggs.
Okay.
This is where the fly
eggs
lays the eggs.
Okay.
As you can see, we leave 10% of the larvae to go back into the colony. So we harvest 10 to 20% of the larvae will go back into the colony and develop into flies.
All right.
The other 80%, 80 to 90% we'll harvest and sell to the processors.
Oh.
Then we go to...
This is still young,
These are still young, just to have a sample.
Okay.
And now these are Insta 4.
All right.
Which have basically fattened up over the last week or so. And then the final Insta, which is the 5th Insta, which is where the protein content is at its highest.
Okay.
And it's where we harvest the insect. Just get a good volume of them.
All right.
This is now 5th Insta.
So now these ones are...
This is the stage at which we harvest the larvae.
Okay.
And it's got its highest level of protein here.
At this point?
At this point.
Okay.
So we sieve and separate the larvae from the substrate.
Yeah.
And as I said, 80% will go to dry.
Back to,
And 20%
will go back to...
separate and will go into the colony again.
All right.
So here we have a mixture of 5th Insta and pre-pupae.
Okay. So the one that are blackish are about to...
They're about to pupate and turn into flies.
Okay.
So all of these will separate again, and the pupae will then sent to the cages. They'll develop into flies and lay eggs after mating.
Awesome.
The cost of production varies from farmer to farmer, based on different models and the capacity of the individual farmer. Return on investment can be lucrative.
You can calculate the dried black soldier fly larvae can sell from 150 to 200 shillings per kilo.
Yes.
So if you're producing 7 tons, that's just over 1 million shillings per year. With an investment of 150,000 shillings, you can see the return on investment is a couple of months.
Good,
again, the cost implications, it depends where you get your feed substrates, the waste, the collection, the amount of labor maybe you're willing to invest into it.
The market is huge. We have a market demand of about 65,000 metric tons. If we're able to provide 65,000 metric tons, the feed millers are going to
be happy.
They'll be happy. And you know, when I get calls from the feed millers asking me, Betty, can I get 40 metric tons of the insect-based feed?
Yes.
I mean the black soldier fly.
Yes.
Where do you even get it from? We have 1 or 2, but that's not enough. So the market is there. The approval process are there, and I do believe the future is bright, but there is a lot of investment that will still need to be done to get us there.
And the market is growing with an estimated 63 SMEs in 2020, strong government and donor engagement, and over 5,000 farmers trained in BSF rearing by ISIPE, with the Kenya Bureau of Standards approval of standards guiding the production of insect-related products. The demand is growing, and over 80% of fish and poultry farmers and 75% of feed traders and processors who are willing to use insects as feed due to their high protein and rich amino acid content. BSF farming has the potential to create between 40,000 to 50,000 jobs, recycle 4.3 million metric tons of waste, and save the country over $19 million in foreign exchange.
The challenge for me is accessibility to funding and space. Again, identifying a source of waste and bio-waste which is suitable and in the proximity makes it easy for collection. And apart from that, it's just a learning process to understand the life cycle of the insect. Then you can go a step further. There can be some value addition. You can extract the oils. So the restrictions there would be on the equipment required.
Yes.
So it depends on what level of production you're looking at going into and what level of processing and value addition.
All right.
The future is bright because we have the regulation, we have the market, and we have the youth who are excited, and the waste is there. If everything can be put in place, I think we have a very good future.
We have a winning formula.
In fact, it's being projected by 2030,
Yes.
the demand will be around 91,000 metric tons.
Wow.
Just adoption of 5 to 50% of insect-based protein can go a long way to increase the economic benefits of the country, and can also increase job production. Can also, in the course of removing the maize and the soya beans or the fish from the animal feed sector back to the feed sector, can feed close to 4 million people annually. Then also the use of to produce the protein and using waste, we can recycle close to 18 million tons of waste every year. And that also the fact that we don't import animal feeds anymore or fertilizer for crop production, this makes it a very, very sustainable system.
I encourage anybody who is looking at the space to go into it.
Yeah.
There's plenty of demand for the product. It doesn't require too much space, it doesn't require too much investment, and it's protein is a very scarce commodity in sub-Saharan Africa. As we require more and more demand as the population grows, animal feed is also going to increase in demand. So I encourage everybody. It alleviates the pressure from the environmental impacts. There's so many benefits. It's a closed cycle system, and it's very easily accessible to everybody.
All right.